venue this evening to hear the debate of the Council of Candidates for Montgomery County Council. I'm Senator Phil Booth, and I will be the moderator tonight. Before we begin, we'd like to thank some people that made this happen. First of all, it's everyone at the paper of Montgomery County who put this all together and worked hard to make it a reality. We appreciate the fact that the paper has sponsored these debates for the last several years, both primary and general election, and we certainly appreciate the newspaper having an interest in the local community and the responsibility that they have to the community. We want to especially thank Mr. Greg Hunt, who's principal of Cartersville High School, for allowing us to venue tonight. And we especially want to thank the candidates for coming out tonight and participating in this, and first of all, most of all, for participating in the political debate or the political process. You know, it's a very difficult thing to put your name out in front of people and be a target. And I commend all these gentlemen for doing that. Whether they win or lose, it's still a tough thing. So I commend them for that. But especially I want to thank you all for coming, because the informed voter is the most important thing that we can have in our democracy. The uninformed voter is a scary thing. So we appreciate the fact that you're here tonight or with us on the web. For your information, we are broadcasting on the web, and we're live right now, and I think after this evening events are over, you can go back to the paper website and review the debate and pick up on anything that you may have missed. So here's the rules that we got tonight. 4 questions were given to the candidates prior to this evening. There will be additional questions allowed from the audience and from the people at home who are watching on the web. And if you want to ask a question, you can either text it to, I believe the phone number's on the front here, it's 317-773-0839. So if you're on the web or you're here in the audience and you want to use the text, you can text it to that number and we'll get the question. Our lovely assistants over here to the left of me and right of you, Kim and Major, Stacey Kincaid. I call them Arvana Whites 1 and 2. But anyway, they don't like that, I'm sure. Anyway, they'll have paper and you can fill out a form and fill out your question, and they'll get it up here to me and we'll ask the question. But as far as the candidates go, we're going to give them 1 minute to make an opening statement. Then there'll be questions, and each candidate will get 2.5 minutes to answer that question. Then if there's a rebuttal, there will be a 2-minute rebuttal period allowed. And then finally, when we're finished tonight, there'll be a 3-minute closing statement. I will keep the time, and I don't have a dart or a bow and arrow or anything to stop them, but we're going to try to hold to those time limits. So, finally, we want to remind everyone in the audience to be polite and be respectful of the candidates. No applauding, no booing, no cheering, jumping up and down and screaming. So we appreciate that if you would keep that decorum. Anyway, we'll get started. And we flipped it, well, no, we didn't flip a coin, we picked a number. And Mr. Hadley was the first, or chose, he got the number, so he's the first to go. I don't know if that's winner or lose, but anyway. Mr. Hadley, you have 1 minute for an opening statement.
Good evening, and thank you to the paper of Montgomery County and the high school for hosting us, and thank you all for coming. I'm David Hadley. I'm running for County Council District 2 because I believe in the people of Montgomery County, and I believe that working together we can build a better, more prosperous future for the county and our citizens. A little bit about myself. I am recently retired from Wabash College, where I taught political science, American government and politics, including state and local politics, for about 43 years. I also served for 6 years as Dean of Students. I was elected to 2 terms on the South Montgomery School Board and served as president of the board for 6 years. I have worked in the state legislature, in previous governor's administration as a legislative aide to the governor. I have served.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Mr. Polchik, you have 1 minute. I know
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm a stranger to this town. I haven't been here for 40 or 50 years. I've been here for less than 2 years. But in my time here, I have discovered some very interesting things. We operate a form of government that worked very well in 1850, but today it's a little expensive and a lot of overhead. My background is financial management in multinational companies and consulting throughout the world, and I want to make Montgomery County more efficient. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chastain.
I'm Dick Chastain. I've been on the Montgomery County Council for almost 10 years. I am a retired farmer and a retired Army officer and a National Guard officer for 37 years. We have had, I think, a very credible record on the Montgomery County Council since I've been there. And I look forward to serving with this council in the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chastain. Mr. Smith.
Okay, well, he's figured that one out. First of all, again, I would like to thank the paper at Carmel High School and our Senator Bill Booth for his willingness to be our moderator this evening. I am Mark Smith, candidate for District 3 County Council, and that is the northeast part of the county as well as the northeast part of Crawfordsville. I am a moderate Republican running as an independent. I'm a lifelong resident of Montgomery County, where I operate a grain and livestock farm. I would like to thank my wife of 36 years for her support and my campaign team who've just been excellent out there giving me advice and working out there for me. It's just been great to have them behind my back. Anyway, this is my first time ever running for public office. A little nervous up here, but I just want to thank all those who've encouraged me over the past few months to get in this race. And most of them were telling me that we need a choice in this election. So that is the reason I'm running for this election. I look forward to this debate, and you can see the difference between my opponent and me.
Thank you. Mr. Lowe.
Okay. My name is Gail Lowe. I'm a true conservative Republican. I am concerned with 3 things. Number 1, safety, keeping our county safe by increasing the number of deputies. Number 2, maintaining our county roads and lobbying the state for additional funds. Number 1, keeping our taxes low. Use our money wisely. I'm a pro-business and have developed a plan entitled the Inside Out Economic Development Strategy as a common sense approach to helping Montgomery County. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mills.
Good evening. My name is Don Mills, and I would like to thank the hosts for having us here this evening. A little bit about myself. My wife and I have been married 40 years. We have 2 sons, Joe, who's a farmer, our other son, Cade, who is a Crawfordsville police officer. And we my wife and I, like everyone else, we want to see Crawfordsville prosper and grow. And we feel like we have a personal interest in that. I've been a farmer for 40 years. I also had a 25-year career working in Indianapolis for UPS. And I've been both an employee and an employer. And so I can understand both sides of issues that way. But I feel like the number one job for the county council is the fiscal health of Montgomery County. Thank you.
Thank you. proceed. Hello? We'll now proceed to the first question that we have for this evening, and Mr. Polchek will go first. The question is, what are the biggest issues that you see facing the council over the next 4 years?
The biggest issues that I see facing the council is to get the most bang for the buck for our tax money. I think we need to restructure our government so we don't have 33 taxing units in Montgomery County. We don't have 5 or 6 overlapping taxing units for each person. I think we need to reduce our overhead so we can function more efficiently.
Thank you, Mr. Chastain.
Of course, number one issue that faces the council every year and will continue to face every year is money. We have really 2 problems in Montgomery County. One is money, and the second is just like it is money to curtail crime. Crime is by far the biggest issue in Montgomery County when it comes to the fiscal body. We spend well over half of our county general funds on crime. Outside of that, I put economic development up there, and right in as long as we are dependent upon the property tax revenues, then economic development has to follow as being one of the major problems.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Yes, same question.
Okay, I think probably the 3 main issues that I see is, number one, like Dick Chastain mentioned, is public safety. We're talking about the sheriff, probation department, emergency management, several other agencies in there. But I think I've learned that's like over 70% of our budget goes towards those public safety type things. I know that, we all want to still feel safe in our neighborhoods. In fact, even my wife and I, we were robbed here, nothing big, except in kind of a barn that we had south of our place, but you just want to feel safe in your own home, in your own neighborhood. So I think that's one of the things that we need to take a look at. Second is infrastructure. If we want to attract new businesses to the county, we have to have good roads for them. We need to have, just water and sewer and things like that ready for them to when they come in. So I think infrastructure is very important. We all like to live on good roads, have good bridges to cross around. So anyway, I think that's very important that we have good infrastructure. And then finally, I think we have a good working relationship right now between the city and county government. I'd like to see that continue as well.
Thank you. Mr. Lowe?
Well, in my opinion, we ought to keep, the obvious answer is tax incentives. But that's a tricky, given that the big companies, then the vast majority of companies are at a disadvantage. There's an organization established, Montgomery County Economic Development, whose purpose is to grow and develop the county's business. As in 2012, Montgomery County had 878 non-farming jobs. If we could help even half of these businesses grow by 1 employee, that would build 400 new jobs. There's nothing like a homegrown business growing right here where we already are.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Mr. Miller?
I have a son who's a police officer, and I have to agree after hearing some of the stories that the majority of their own fund or general budget money goes to crime and all the issues, the breakdown of the families. I think that's very important. One of the other issues is revenue for the county. Over the last 10 years, the average household income has dropped from about $58,000 to $48,000, which makes it more difficult for the county and the city to operate. And so I have to agree with Mr. Polchek about reducing as many rules and regulations as we can. And also on that, to my third item would be infrastructure. If we want to grow our
as good, better roads as we can. If the county would continue to follow the highway improvement program, I think that's a good way to handle that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Haddon?
The three major issues, I think, are one, sound fiscal management to make the best, most effective and efficient use of our limited resources, to provide for the public safety, to develop and maintain the county's infrastructure, to support economic development, and to enhance the quality of life for the citizens of Montgomery County. The second is economic development, closely related, to attract new business and industry to Montgomery County, to support retention and expansion of existing businesses, and to help develop the workforce necessary for a healthy, growing local economy. We currently are losing about 300 people from our county workforce each year, and there are only about 150 Montgomery County high school graduates who will stay in the county to fill those jobs. So we've got to find ways to develop our workforce. And finally, the third issue, I think, is cooperation within, between, and among governments in Montgomery County. We've seen improvements in cooperation in recent years, but there's more that can be done. We have to continue and expand cooperation and coordination among county government, Crawfordsville, the smaller municipalities and townships and special districts.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to add what their opponent said? If not, we can move on. The next question I have follows what I think most of you said was a key issue for the county council, and that's finances, public safety. Would you support a public safety income tax, the levy of a public safety income tax to help pay for fire, police, sheriff, deputy, and courthouse, etc.? Mr. Chastain, you're first.
Number one, the answer to that question is no, because I'll tell you why. We in this county have one of the lowest property tax base, or not even property tax base, property tax that you pay on homes. And that's because we enacted a COIP. A little bit later, we enacted the 1/10% on economic development, and then a little bit later, we added the law. So we're at 2.1% under income tax. We are a highly taxed county when you factor all that in. No, and there is a provision that you can enact a public safety tax. No, I would not support it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Smith?
That's not a very popular question to ask them to raise taxes, and most people don't like to have their taxes raised. This would take some study, I guess, on my part to really know how to answer this, to be honest with you. But again, I'd hate to raise taxes unless it's absolutely necessary. I guess I'd leave right now not to, but again, we would like to have, our sheriff deputies. I know we went through a period where we would train, we'd get new deputies hired, we'd get them trained, and then they would leave for other counties that were paying better. But I think now that we've gotten our salaries up on those men and women who serve us, and I certainly wouldn't do what they're doing for the pay that they're getting right now. I don't think probably many of us would. But again, I'd have to look at that to see how much more money we're talking to increase those services and to increase the pay of the people that are offering those services to us. So right now, I would say no, but I would be open to listen to arguments for it.
Thank you. Mr. Lowe?
Thank you. I really agree with Mr. Chastain here on this issue. I would hate to not have our deputies and sheriffs, but I think we can improve this by doing some efficiencies. Example, up in Darlington, there was a culvert installed on a road. 2 days later or so, they came across the same road with a tile ditch, and it was 3 foot or 4 foot away from the culvert. That could save the county probably $300 to $400, maybe even more. We have to work on efficiency, and I believe that if we do that, we'll have the ability to increase our deputies and make our county safer.
Thank you. Mr. Mills?
Senator Boots, the last night that question was brought up, and was that a quarter of 1% of the?
It could be up to
Up to a quarter of 1%.
It could be 8%.
Okay. Being that I have a law enforcement officer as a son, I would have to say yes, I would support that, but because the retention of trained officers is a serious problem. You know, we get officers trained, they get their specialties, and then you move on to different counties. That's a great loss in Montgomery County. But one of the only ways that I would support that was if we could find a way to cut some non-essential expenses in the county. That would be my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hatton.
I would certainly want to look at the issue, to examine the seriousness of the problem. At least 3 of us sitting here said that public safety was the #1 issue. And if it is the #1 issue, and if we have been realizing efficiencies in other areas, and we still find it difficult or impossible to provide the resources to support the public safety institutions, then I would certainly support it. I don't think we're going to accomplish the goal by saving $300 on a road cut here and $200 on something else there. If it's a serious problem, we've got to be willing to do what's necessary to provide this essential public service.
Thank you. Mr. Polchak?
I don't think we need a new tax. I think public safety needs to be shared with the state. Counties pay too much of the public safety costs now. We need money from the state to do some of these things.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to rebut their opponent?
Senator Boots, I just want to make a point of clarification. About 8 or 9 years ago, we made a concerted effort to put the road officers from the Sheriff's Department on a much higher pay scale. In fact, I think we raised them almost $10,000 per year. We were being rated by all the police forces, police agencies around this part of the state. And our guys, as soon as they got qualified, would leave. Now, I would have to agree with what everybody else says here. We are falling behind again, and we're probably not quite on par. But just for clarification.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to rebut their opponent? Okay, thank you, gentlemen. We have a question from the audience, or someone at home perhaps, but they want a yes or no answer. I don't know how easy that's going to be, but the question is, would you be in favor of government land use planning and zoning in Montgomery County? It says, I would like for this to be a yes or no answer only. Mr. Smith, you can go first. That's what they want. I'm just relaying, you've got 2.5 minutes. To say yes or no.
You really straightened that one out, couldn't you? Again, that's a question you can't answer, I don't think, with one word, but I'd have to know what the plan is. So right now, I'd say no, I don't know what the plan is.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Love?
I'd have to go with no. We've had plans in the past about 10 years ago, and I think that it would be more of a waste of time and money to do so.
My answer is no. There was an unofficial survey done last year, and 70% of the respondents said no, they did not want land use planning. Mr. Fullenwider last night said he didn't feel it
Yes.
Thank you. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yes, because planning and zoning can be, should be instruments for protecting our individual property rights, our right to enjoy and realize the value of the property that we own. Secondly, it is an important economic development tool. It's important to developing our ability to attract new business and industry. The recent Duke Energy report on economic development pluses and minuses in Montgomery County cited our lack of countywide planning and zoning as one of two significant negatives. Third, it is important for our county infrastructure development, one of the key responsibilities of county government. We can't have infrastructure development being driven by the decisions made by one property owner in the northwest corner of the state and another property owner who decides to sell for the development of industry in some other part of the state. You have to plan infrastructure development, and planning and zoning are essential to do that. And finally, I've seen it work. I'm on the City Planning Commission as a commissioner's appointee from the 2-mile zone, and it worked to the advantage of residential property owners in Pleasant Meadows, and it worked to my own advantage in protecting my property with the development of the motocross event. We had experienced the spillover effects of the Ironman for 20 years, and when this new event, larger event was coming in, we went to the Shavers and asked for a fence, said that we thought we needed one between our properties. They volunteered to pay for half of it if we would have it built, since we wanted it. But they had to go through the zoning process. We got the fence. We got a number of things that protected our property. And it in the end involved other county institutions and city institutions in making this event work and profitable for Montgomery County, for the Shavers, and tolerable for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haddon. Mr. Bolter?
I don't think we need county zoning. I don't think we need to get government involved with the associated costs to try and plan what we're going to do with this whole county for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's going to cost a lot of money, with a lot of court costs and everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chastain.
First of all, Senator, that's a very unfair question because, number one, the county council doesn't make that decision. Now, if it was recommended or passed by the Board of County Commissioners, and I've been associated with this and agonized over it for more than 50 years in this county. In fact, we had planning and zoning in this county back in, I can't even recall, I think it was probably in the 60s, in the late 60s. And we had the master plan, everything was developed. We had it for a year or so, and then the council in their wisdom decided not to fund it anymore. So it went away. See, I'm sitting on two sides of this fence, and I'll tell you what. Number one, if you own 100 acres or 200 acres or 1,000 or 10,000, God did not give that to you to do whatever you want to do with it. He did not. But I know that there is so much concern about the libertarian and the value of individual property rights. I'm thinking that if the Board of County Commissioners would decide that we were to have planning and zoning, and they wanted the council to fund it, I would vote aye.
Thank you. Does anyone Another question that, well, I guess this wasn't given to you earlier, but department heads prepare their own budgets and then present them to the commissioners and then ultimately to the council for approval. Do you feel that the council should be more involved in the initial creation of the department head budgets, work more with the department heads, or do you think the method that we have currently works best? And I think Mr. Williams first on that one.
You know, I think we all need to work together. There's a check and balance system. Neither should work apart from one another. Each department has things that they may want to do, but something else, the county is more present somewhere else. Examples, overlapping. As I mentioned a few minutes ago about the culvert and the tile across the river. The council can oversee places where different departments can work more hand in hand and prioritize and save a lot of taxpayers' money in the process. And thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mills.
Thank you. I am reading from the County Government Statistical Report brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau in 2013. And under the guidelines of the County Council, it says, beginning in 2008, the County Council shall be given the responsibility of reviewing the budgets of all civil tax units within the county prior to their fiscal body adopting the unit's budget. So it is the responsibility, it's one of the main responsibilities of the council. But it should be the department's head, because they know their department, they know their needs, and to bring that to the council for their review. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams.
The council has to know and evaluate the financial and budgetary conditions and constraints on the county. Council has to participate in shaping an overall financial plan and direction that meets the county's responsibilities and addresses its needs. It must then communicate those general guidelines, that plan, to the departments and the department heads, and trust, at least in the developmental stage, trust them to develop their budget in line with those guidelines and that general framework. And then the council should receive those budgets developed under the direction of the department heads, review them for their consistency with the overall plan, and adjust them or work with the department heads to help them or have them adjust the budgets to fit the overall circumstances that the county faces. So it's basically to give an overall plan and framework, and trust the department heads to develop a budget consistent with that, and review those budgets and work with the department heads to adjust them to bring them into line ultimately with that plan.
Thank you, Mr. Polson.
I think it has to be a two-way interactive process. I think the council needs to give the department heads the guidelines for what they do, and then review very specifically what the department heads want. There are some things the council just plain doesn't know what the department heads want to do. For instance, with the innkeeper's tax, there's a line item for $173,000 proposed for the 2015 budget. Does the council know what those grants are going to be, who they're going to be given to, and how much? It has to be a working together.
Thank you, Mr. Chastain.
Well, of course, department heads know what they have to have. They also know what they want. And I've gone through this probably 9 years. And department heads also know budget. And the department heads also know what they want. And they know what they want. And they also 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 know However, we know pretty close to how much money we've got to spend. I recall the time when I was president of the council, that we figured out our income and we figured out that absolutely no raises. And see, we've gone without raises in this county for a number of years. We had a stipend last year. Yes, the budget making process is pretty much dictated by the state. And the process that we use is, I think, effective, but surely it's time consuming because we take the wish list, we pare it down, we have the second reading, and we do that next week, and it will be cut significantly. In fact, I had a conference today with Extension, and I said, "You're not going to get what you're asking for." And she says, "Why not?" Well, I said, "You just have to wait and see." But it is a step-by-step process. We know how much we got to spend. And they will take it over. And maybe they need more, but we can't do anything about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Okay, as a farmer, I don't think I would appreciate somebody coming in and telling me how to do my work if they don't know what I do out there. In that regards, each of us on the council will be assigned a liaison to different departments. And if I'm elected to the council, what I would do, at least the departments I'm assigned to, I would go out there and find out exactly what they do, maybe not exactly what they do, but at least know what they do and have somebody that they can come to if they have a problem or just have an idea of, I like to know the people in the department, I like to get them to know me, I would like to have them just explain to me what they do on a day-to-day basis, just so we can have a good working relationship. And then if they have a problem and they can come to me and talk, we can decide, is that a need or is that a want when it comes time to budget time. So we can kind of sort through that. Maybe if they have something that they really need to improve their department, they've got somebody they can come to and say, hey, go to bat for us. Or they might have something, that they say, I'd say, well, is that really a need or is that a want? Well, that's probably a want. We've been wanting this for years, but to get by with it, with the money constraints that we have, at least I like to build a working relationship with one of those departments. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rowe, did you answer that question?
I'd like to have feedback on that.
All right.
As county council member would be, we're there to manage the budget. We're not there to micromanage people underneath each of the departments. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to rebut their opponent? No? Okay. I'm going to combine a couple questions here that we've gotten over the texting. In your view, does sound fiscal management include putting current funds aside to plan for potential future needs? In other words, should you have a surplus, a rainy day fund? And how would you do that? How would you accomplish that in today's environment? And the second part of that question would be, would you support reducing or consolidating some of the different commissions and governmental entities that we have that are funding currently out of the budget in order to save money? So it's a complicated question, but Mr. Mills, I'm going to expect you to tackle that one for me.
Thank you. I think the state guidelines call for each county to have, I believe in Montgomery County, the requirement is, I believe it's 10 or 15%. Anyway, I think in Montgomery County, if we lived up to the state standards, that would be $1.5 million. And I don't think with today's general budget, it can be done overnight. It's going to have to be a plan. It's going to have to be put in for a series of years to get rid of that, to get that rainy day fund. I know there are approximately 3,000 accounts. I may be wrong on that number, but there's just money sitting there that's been there for years that with some work might be able to be pulled into that. And as the second part of the question, Mr. Roots was,
Would you support consolidating?
yes, I would support consolidating some of the committees and in that sort. I think Mr. Polchek's right. We have somewhat an antiquated system, and anything that we can do to our county to become more efficient, I would be in favor of that.
Thank you. Mr. Hadley.
I think rainy day funds are a nice idea. I think we ought to have a small reserve. On the other hand, under current circumstances and conditions, we have not been in a position to do that. The county has been cutting expenditures and programs here and there. We're having a difficult time meeting the budget responsibilities that are already there. I think, yes, there are some governmental organization issues that ought to be addressed. The Fern Shepherd report of several years ago raised a number of issues. I don't think the county council is in a position to affect most of those changes. I'd be happy to and would encourage county government, including the county commissioners and other local entities, to talk about how they can cooperate, how they can combine efforts, how they can cooperate on purchasing. The recent establishment of the health clinic for employees of the county, city, and the 3 school corporations is a good example of the kinds of things that might be done. I think there might be opportunities for savings in some public safety areas. If we look at emergency services and that sort of thing. But this is going to take a major effort to bring people together to explore ways to make things happen with fewer units. But I'd support working to try to bring people together to look at those issues.
Thank you, Mr. Polchek.
As I said, we need to consolidate our local governments. I think we need to have rainy day funds. And if you look at what the county council did at the last meeting, I believe, we have a waste management district in the county that has something like a 3 or 4 year rainy day fund. And I think the county council said, guys, take our contribution from that. We need rainy day funds, but within reason.
Thank you, Mr. Chastain.
It would be wonderful. 4 years ago, we were told by our financial management firm that we had hired that we should have 15% of the general fund should be held in reserve. We opted to hold 0. And the reason for it was we didn't have any more money, and we spent it all. We do have a rainy day fund. That has to be, I'm not sure how much money was in there right now. We used to have more than $1 million in it. But, we need about 1.2 to 1.4 at least to come up with 15%. It's a great idea, great idea. I would say that you all should subscribe to it. Now you just got to figure out how you're going to do it.
Thank you. Mr. Smith.
Just like families, the county does need to have a rainy day fund. You never know what kind of emergencies are going to come up. How much, it's going to be hard to really build a bunch of emergency fund with the economy that we have right now. I can't see, when we have different agencies and different departments are needing different things, it's just going to be hard to build that rainy day fund to anything more than just, maybe $1 million, or what's been said, maybe $1.5 million is probably all we can do right now until the economy turns around, I think. So, yes, we do need a rainy day fund, just not a large one. I don't think the county council and the county needs to be the service of the bank. We can't hoard a bunch of money, not when everything that needs to be done out there that needs to be done. We just can't do, we just can't build that fund right now. As far as consolidations, as I get older, simple is better, I think. So I like to simplify things as much as we can. to make things probably more efficient, like it's been said as well. So yes on a small rainy day fund, and yes on consolidation.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe.
Yeah, I completely agree that we do need to have some money in a rainy day fund, because we do run into emergencies, no matter even our home life or wherever, in our business, we have breakdowns, whatever. The question becomes how much do we need? And at this point in time, it's pretty difficult with our economy the way it is. You know, I do agree that I'd like to see a rainy day fund built up. I don't think it's going to be an overnight process. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to rebut what their opponent said? No? Okay. One of the questions that was given to you earlier, and I'm going to tag on another question that has been asked over the internet. What role should the council have in economic development? And the question that has been given over here was, would you, or should the economic development income tax, which is a CEDAT that we talked about earlier, be dedicated to economic development as opposed to the way it's used today? Mr. Henry.
The role that council can play, I think, is that council can and should give careful attention to maximizing the resources available to support economic development activities. That includes trying to free up some of the economic development income tax that has been used for other purposes, including property tax reduction or replacement of the inventory tax and the innkeeper's tax. I think this is a source of revenue that draws on, that can draw on not the residents of Montgomery County, but people who are passing through and are coming here to enjoy all that Montgomery County has to offer. Secondly, in addition to careful attention to maximizing those resources, the council needs to give careful consideration to how to get the most out of these resources and direct these resources to those activities and agencies that will use them most effectively and efficiently. And for what purpose? To provide and maintain essential infrastructure, to attract new business and industry, to retain existing business, to help develop our workforce, as I said before. We've got a great workforce in place now, but 300 of those people are retiring every year, and we don't have enough kids coming out of high school to fill all of those positions, and some of the people coming out of high school aren't really ready to take those jobs. And so we have to commit resources, and currently NCED has received a grant that is working to develop connections between the education system and industry to try to make sure that we are preparing young people for the jobs that are going to be there. So the council needs to work to try to direct the available resources to the institutions that can help in these areas.
Mr. Polchak.
Thank you. I think one of the things we have to look at is council has control of the funds. But more importantly, the council has to help define what we mean by economic development. Do we mean we need to educate all of our kids to be PhDs in computer science? Does it mean we need to bring in battery manufacturing plants like they did up by Reno in Nevada? What do we want? Do we want to be a bedroom community to Lafayette and Indianapolis? We need to clearly define what we mean by economic development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chastain.
No, the case of Montgomery County Economic Development, and I've been criticized for this many times, but I'm going to tell you an old story. As an old military officer, we always rated the leadership on performance and potential. Now, I would tell you that without economic development that we have in this county, our potential drops dramatically. So what I'm saying is we give $75,000 a year out of the county budget to economic development. Now, that is only exists on a chance, but it is a chance. And I just had a business guy tell me a couple of days ago. He said, Dick, when are we ever going to get this county moving? I said, I don't know, but we're trying. But there is a chance, and 75 grand is a lot of money in my book. But in terms of the general fund of this county, that's a pittance. That is a pittance on what we spend on crime. It's a pittance on what we spend on the people that work in our courthouse. It is only a pittance, and it is a chance for success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Okay, well said, Mr. Chastain. I totally agree with that. We have a good thing going right now with the county and the city working together on MCED. Yes, we do need to have checks and balance and some goals defined for the MCED to follow, but we need to keep that working relationship going. Whether I guess we get into tax abatements and things like that too, but it's still if we don't, I guess, kick in to help the county grow. That's just, to me, it's a common sense type of thing. We need to keep this going and keep all the good things that are happening with MCED right now, keep that going in the future as well. So I look, I said, yes, we do need to keep that $75,000 towards their function as well. So yes, let's keep on doing that. Is there a second part to that?
Yes, would you support using the seated, which is already imposed, income tax, dedicated solely to economic development?
Yeah, I would support that tax. If we don't help ourselves, who's going to help us?
Thank you, Mr. Blow.
We have 878 businesses out here that are non-farm businesses. Imagine what we could do if we could employ just one person to those. Even if we could just get half of that amount, approximately 400 people to that. MCED has the potential to be a good organization, but I'd like to see the funds and where they're spent at. And I'd like to know how many of these businesses have been contacted by MCED. Like I say, it has the potential to be a fantastic organization. The funds, we need to account for the funds. And I would like to see that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mills.
I'm for any organization that can have a proven record to help our county grow. We need to work on our infrastructure. We need to help grow new businesses. We need to talk to businesses, the local business, to find out what their hindrances are. As far as NCED, I'm still out there. I haven't formed an opinion. After the primary, I asked the director if we could get together and have a meeting, because it's not just $75,000 from the county; it's $75,000 from the city. That's $150,000, and that's fine. But I asked for a meeting, because I've heard this about NCED and I've heard about this from NCED, and I would like to hear NCED from you. And I've not been given that chance to hear from NCED. So the jury is still out with me on whether to support NCED. Like Gail said, it may be a very good organization or maybe not. But I would like to see some accountability from NCED. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone wish rebut their opponent on that issue?
Well, there are opportunities. I'm sorry that the director didn't meet with you personally, but the director of NCDD does report regularly to the county commissioners and I think to the council. So there is a mechanism for accountability, and I think the NCDD has developed indicators of success and improvement or failure, and those should be publicly available through NCDD at their annual meeting and when they meet with the council and commissioners.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Smith?
Well, I'm not sure how Don had trouble meeting with the MCED folks. I had a meeting last week or 10 days ago, and it's just got a list of all the things that the MCED is doing right now. And if we don't have someone out there fighting our battles for us, to me, we still need to be $150,000 is not much, totals for a group like that are out there trying to gain businesses. I've got 2 kids, and neither one of them live in the county anymore. So they're just, we're losing jobs, we're losing factories. We need to turn that around.
Like I said, I'm not for or I'm not against. I was told we'd have a meeting probably in July. That never took place, and times were busy. Maybe it was a mistake that I would get and make the call, but my phone number was taken, my name was taken, and that's just where it ended. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, sorry. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Okay.
As I mentioned earlier, there's 878 non-farm businesses here in Montgomery County. 78% of our employees are in these smaller businesses. I really would like to know how many of the MCED's people have been out to visit these small corporations and small businesses. They have the potential to be a great organization, but I'd like to hear, I'd like to know what has been done. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. This was a question I believe that was provided to you previous to the debate tonight. What do you perceive as the best use of the land north of the courthouse that is currently a parking lot, and would you allocate dollars towards that venture? I think Mr. Kolchak, you go first on that one.
I haven't the slightest idea. I really don't know what we need. I don't know what other land is available. I don't know what our plans are for the next 3, 5, 7 years. It would be nice if we knew what we wanted to do before we started spending money.
Thank you, Mr. Chastain.
I can think of no better use than a parking lot for the courthouse and its employees.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Now, to me, that's not a priority issue. I think the parking lot's great. Maybe I'm just used to it after living here all my life. Of course, there used to be a building there, but as you're pulling in there and you come into town, the parking lot's fine to me. They're talking about maybe putting trees and cutting down the number of parking places. There's just too many other places that money is needed right now than to beautify it. Yes, maybe we do need a big welcome sign. I guess my idea is to put a big archway or something over a big steel structure, something like that. There, as you're coming into town, you can hang banners from it. Something simple like that. If we're having the Strawberry Festival, the Ironman races, and things, you can put banners up there to let people know what's going on in town that weekend if there's some kind of festival. But as far as spending a lot of money, maybe 20 years down the road, we've got more money than we know what to do with. But I say no.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe.
This parking lot is a parking lot. And I truly think that parking lot is what's needed here. But I don't think we need to put decorations in it. We don't need the trees, because we know that all the birds like to come and visit the trees and then leave a mess on the vehicles that park under the trees. We don't need a huge rock in front of it to say, welcome to Crawfordsville. If they haven't figured out they're in Crawfordsville by the time they get to the heart of it, they have a problem. I don't have a problem knowing where Crawfordsville is. If people want to do that, I suggest that we continue as they did on the clock tower. Have private funds develop this, and as similar to what they did for the clock tower restoration.
Thank you, Mr. Mills.
I'm kind of in favor of having the parking lot, but I don't think we need to spend $775,000 on the parking lot. Trees, I think I read in the paper or saw a picture in the paper where there's some trees on Green Street, which the city took down because of the bird situation. So, and I think we have a real good Crawfordsville Main Street group, and as far as beautification, I would think instead of using taxpayers' money, that they do a wonderful job on Main Street in downtown Crawfordsville. I think a private entity like that could help work with the parking lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley.
Was it Ronald Reagan who said you've seen one tree, you've seen them all? I don't believe that. The parking lot is just, as I understand it, a part of a larger project as well, which we haven't been asked about, but should have been. That is to provide security and handicap access and increased accessibility to the courthouse, and then also parking, and to spiff up the entrance to our community. This is our front door, and I think our front door, our curb appeal says something about us as a community. It says something about our aspirations. It says something about how we feel about our community. So it'd be great, and I'd encourage us as a community to seek some private contributions to that project, but we ought to make our courthouse, where everyone comes to do important business, accessible, and a parking lot is a part of that. My wife took my 96-year-old, soon to be 97-year-old mother-in-law to register to vote earlier this week on Monday morning, so that she could cast her vote for David Hadley for county council. They went to the back door through a parking lot that where all the handicap spaces were taken, and gained entrance through the back door by pushing a button. Door opens, go in, and it looks not very appealing. I mean, we need to take pride in Montgomery County, and this is one way to express that pride.
Thank you. Does anybody want to rebut that? Yes.
I'm not rebutting anything, but I'm wondering, starting about 1800, what our forefathers did when they decided to build all these magnificent structures in every one of the 92 counties that were very inefficient in terms of heat, cool, and cooked, in terms of heat and efficiency of space, but they went for the whole hog, and they built very expensive structures because this was going to say, this is my county and I'm proud of it. So, only thing I'm saying, that I agree with everybody here, you gotta watch your dollars, but do not be penny wise and pound foolish. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to rebut? No? Thank you very much. One of the questions I got from the audience is, each of you has referred to your leadership positions or in the county, et cetera, and they would like to know what organizations you've had leadership in, positions in, either president or some office. So I think Mr. Polchik, or no, Mr. Chastain first on that.
I've had leadership positions in a couple of things. The senator and I were members of Kiwanis Club here for many years. I think I was president of it at one time. I was a commander of every unit from division on down in field artillery, from battery through battalion, through division artillery, through the assistant division commander, and then the division commander. I have been the president of the local farm bureau. I don't know. I've been the president of the county council. I think that's probably about it.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
Okay, being a farmer, most of my organizations I've belonged to and had positions of leadership have been farm organizations. Those that weren't farm organizations, I guess I was on the Economic Development Board, guys, probably back 20 years ago when we first started. I'm currently I was on the Muffy Fund Drive as the Ag Chairman, again, because I was a farmer on the group. I was, right now, I'm currently part of the Ivy Tech Advisory Committee, but then getting into farm organizations, used to be in the pyramid sheep business. I was president of local, state, and national organizations there. I'm currently a llama breeder. I've been president of the state, national, and international group there as well. Just several things as far as leadership training though, probably one of the most important things I ever did as an adult was I was in the Indiana Ag Leadership class about, 15, 16 years ago. And there were very few farmers in that. There was just maybe a handful of us, but we didn't study agriculture. It was mostly, court systems and school systems and the judicial system that we'd study welfare. So we different kinds of social issues and social functions that many of our county council will deal with a lot of times as far as funding and things like that. So quite a few very different organizations as well as one international organization.
Thank you. Mr. Lowe?
I've been on the North Mineral School Board for 2 terms, 8 years. And I'm not leaving the school board with any mess or major problems on the horizon or anything in need. We have the lowest tax rate in the county on our school boards. I have a proven track record of being responsible with our tax money. I've been a Montgomery County Floodplain Commissioner. I've served on the Sugar Creek Township Advisory Board. I have served on the Sugar Creek ordinances when that was developed. I've been around and I understand the importances of serving our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mills?
I've served in some different aspects in church as a teacher, deacon, that sort of things. I've been a Boy Scout leader. I'm on the board of directors of Pam's Promise. I was in a leadership of a safety organization at UPS in Indianapolis, and I was on the board of directors of a small sick fund there. And I think I'm correct in saying this, that Mark Smith and I worked on the Pork Producers Board 30-some years ago.
Thank you. Mr. Hadley?
I was elected to 2 terms on the South Montgomery School Board and served as president of the school board for 6 years. I was chairman of the Indiana State Ethics Commission for 5 years and a member of that commission for 8 years, appointed by 2 different governors. I have been chairman of the board of trustees, the moderator of the deacons, and a member of the session at Wabash Avenue Presbyterian Church. I think I once served as, I did once serve as the president of the Newmarket Parent Teachers Organization. I've been dean of students at Wabash College, and I consider 43 years of teaching classes at Wabash College as a position of leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Butcher.
You're going to hear some very strange things now. I don't serve on any county commissions or school boards. My experience is in business. Chief Financial Officer, Controller of multinational corporations. Speaker at international conferences. Consultants in finance, restructuring, controls. Helping make good companies better. That's what I've done.
Thank you. I know a lot of people have asked me, we're going to be done for the Colts game. So we're going to wrap this up at this point. So I'm going to give you each 3 minutes to give a concluding remarks. And Mr. Smith will go first in the natural progression here. So, Mr. Smith, you have 3 minutes.
Washington-style politics have no room in Montgomery County. Unlike Washington, I'm a firm believer in being able to work through our differences, compromise when needed for the good of the county. I've taken many personality tests over the years, and being a peacemaker and problem solver have always shown to be my strengths. My experiences in past leadership roles in local, state, national, and international organizations have prepared me for this role. If elected, I look forward to serving my community in this capacity. I have attended every council meeting since I entered this race. That way, once elected, I can hit the ground running. I have yet to see my opponent attend any of these meetings during that time. My experiences as a farmer, businessman, have taught me to be flexible and ready to make changes when unforeseen situations arise. As your county councilman, I will consider each situation, listen to you, and willing to work hard alongside the other elected officials to find the best solutions for Montgomery County as a whole. I am pro-business and want to see Montgomery County to be the viable, economic, growing community it should be. My goal is to see the great working relationship between the county and the city continue. I want to create an opportunity for growth in the county, help me help the county, and have a brighter future. I would appreciate your vote on November 4th. Finally, again, I'd like to thank the paper, Montgomery County, Senator Boots, and Cartersville High School for this opportunity given to us tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Lowe.
Thank you. I'm Gail Lowe, and I think by now you can see the differences between my opponent and myself. Yeah, I'm a common person, just like you, and so are those helping me communicate the importance of keeping taxes low. I'm opposed to rural zoning. Zoning already extends 2 miles beyond the Crawfordsville city limits. No more is needed. County zoning expands government where it is not needed. It will require more taxpayers, employees, and significant legal fees. There are already many laws and ordinances that regulate businesses and properties. I'm opposed to zoning because it will cost all of us more tax money and expand the government. And, to continue here, these are just a few things that can make a difference in our community. I wish to continue growth in our 878 businesses that are here in Montgomery County. Let's grow what's already here and planted. I have spoken clearly on each of these issues presented to you. You know where I stand. I'm interested in the thoughts and ideas of others. I will be forthright. As stated previously, I have a proven track record of getting things done and an economic plan to help support local businesses. Vote for me, Gail Lowe, and I will do all I can to keep your taxes low. And I too would like to thank the paper of Montgomery County, Senator Boots, and all my supporters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Mr. Mills.
And again, thank you to our hosts. And in this short time, I've tried to express my views. receive the duties of county councilman. And I will do my best ethically and fiscally for Montgomery County. And I also stand for the state Republican platform, which is for limited government, personal liberties and freedoms, and individual responsibilities. But I feel that listening to the citizens, their concerns, that provides for successful government. And together, we can work for the betterment of Montgomery County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Mr. Hadley.
I said it before, I'll say it again. I'm running for county council because I believe in the people of Montgomery County. I believe that working together, we can move forward as community and move forward as a community into a more prosperous, more fulfilling future. A future in which we can all enjoy a higher quality of life. I'm running for county council because I can work together with everyone of goodwill, whether Republican, Democrat, or Independent, to make this an even better place to live. I'm also running because I believe that a democratically elected, responsive, and well-run government can be an important tool for meeting the community's needs for safety, security, and well-being, and it can be a tool for helping to realize our public aspirations. I believe that a democratically elected, responsive, and well-run government is the servant of the people, not their enemy. I want to work with others of goodwill to make our local government efficient and effective in service to the people, not to disable it, dismember it, or dismantle it. My wife Sheridan and I have committed ourselves to service in Montgomery County for 45 years. We've worked through our church, numerous community organizations, and a variety of public boards and commissions to help make this a really good place to live. We have chosen to remain here in the community we love in our retirement and remain committed to do all we can to preserve all that we value and to do what we can to assure its future. I'm committed to this community and its future. I have knowledge and experience that qualify me to serve as an effective county council person. Finally, as a school board member, a teacher, administrator, as a public board and commission member, and as a community volunteer, I have proved that I can work with people to find common ground, shared goals, and agreeable solutions to problems. I would be pleased to have your vote for county council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. Mr. Polchak.
I am Howard Polchak again. I have a strange approach. We need to get the state legislature to help make our government more efficient. We need to control costs. We need to have people presenting other views. I want you to look around this room and notice something. There aren't many young people here. We need to get the young people of our community involved in the future. I'd like you to vote for county council. I'd like to thank everybody who made this possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Polchak. Mr. Chastain.
I was disconcerted. I think District 1 of the County Council candidates are probably the best looking and maybe the youngest up here. Right? I'm 81 years old. I have served as the president of the State Armory Board under 2 governors and involved with my church for the last 50 years. I have only been a resident of this county for 53 years. My wife was a native here. I love this county. I will never leave it. And I have 2 votes that I have committed to on the council, rankled a few feathers. One was for MCED, which I will stand on that one. I will also stand on my other one on Ivy Tech. Ivy Tech, now I want to explain it. Ivy Tech, Crawfordsville had already committed to Ivy Tech. The citizens of Crawfordsville, half of my constituents are citizens of Crawfordsville. The citizens of Crawfordsville were going to pay 100%. When we voted for the county to participate, half, then if you do your math, the constituents, my constituents in Crawfordsville, instead of paying 70 or 100%, now only pay 75%. the citizens outside of Crawfordsville pay 25%. If you can't figure that math out, give me a call and I'll tell you about it. I had an ad in the paper in the primary that said conservative but progressive. I'm going to change that just a little bit. And I'm going to borrow a word, and I think I can do that, Senator, from Governor Pence. And he said he is now a solutions conservative. So I'm going to be not a progressive conservative, but a solutions conservative. And that's what we need, or what I think we need in Montgomery County. Appreciate your vote in November. Thank you very much.
Thank you, all of the candidates. At this time, I'd like for you all to thank the candidates for the participation. Once again, I want to thank the people of Montgomery County for sponsoring this event and putting this all together. I want to thank our two runners back in the back. I didn't see them running a lot, so we'll give them some responsibilities there. And I want to thank Mr. McChesney, David McChesney from OneUp Software, who put the web broadcast together and got this all going out so that people outside this venue can see what's going on and see it in the future. So it'll be available on the paper website until the election. So tell your friends if they have any questions. Especially I want to thank you all for coming out and informing yourself about what's going on. I hope that this has helped you make your decision on how you want to vote on November the 4th or between now and then, because we do have early voting and you can start voting tomorrow. Or, well, actually Tuesday, but that's good. So thank you all for coming. Appreciate your participation. Good evening.